appreciate it. Pooja and I appreciate it. So karma is something that comes up a lot in pop culture, right? Bad karma, good karma, all this stuff. And it's something that comes from the Buddhist philosophy, and which is Eastern, and it's very old, and there's lots of kind of like telephone games going on with karma and what it is, because people misinterpret, not misinterpret, they understand it in different ways, and then it gets kind of diluted, like changed, rearranged, and all these things. So it gets pretty complex, the whole concept and the whole philosophy of it. But my understanding and my experience and my practice of it, it comes down to this: karma is thoughts, karma is time. Like you get caught in samsara, right? And like recycles. So this is thinking. Thinking happens in cycles as well, right? Because you would keep having a thought over and over again, coming back constantly. This is karma. This is karma repeating. And before it happens externally in events, people, places, it happens within you, and it's kind of your higher self. You could say that. It's kind of your subtle body, your mental and emotional bodies, however you want to phrase it, preparing you, which is this character, for this timeline to actually transpire in like physical reality. So that's what happens when we're thinking. It's this potentials going. I'm going to be talking about timelines, potentials, probabilities, possibilities, all that stuff today. And time is karma. So thoughts are time. Thinking is a trajectory. It's like a linear thing, right? Because like, of course, it happens cyclically. Thoughts come back to you that always like in cycles and circles and in certain periods or states of mood, states of being. You know, like you're in a situation that happened similar to one previously, and this emotion comes to you, and then another thought that's attached to this emotion comes, and then it's mechanized for you to repeat that same thing that's happened again, because what has happened before isn't fully integrated. So your subconscious, you're not fully aware of what happened previously when that emotion and that thought happened. So it's happening again in this future time, right? Future. So that ultimately you can integrate this. Ultimately it comes down to acceptance. Like that's what it comes down to. Accepting the reality of this situation. And like when you think about a situation, you are not accepting it. Like when I throw this, then you automatically are suspended without time, out of time, suspended in time, you could say. But you're not actually thinking in that moment when I threw that. Like when it hit the ground, you heard the echo and you're like, oh, that was kind of like, not unnecessary that he had to throw that or something. Like you think about it, but that's the past experience. Like after it hit the ground, it already was the past, right? So this is the karmic cycle, really. So how do we get out of karma? We stop thinking about it. So how do we stop thinking about something? We accept it. There's things, there's philosophies and there's many ways to accept, but ultimately the learning that I've found to be the most effective is really just facing it without blinking, so to speak, So that's the most quick path. It's not the most easiest, but it's not the most easiest. It's not the easiest, but just for reference, I'm going to be talking about concepts that will help in thinking when you're caught in karma, when you're thinking, right? When you can't stop, right? So I'm going to talk about stuff like there's an option, right? Because karma happens like this. It's linear. Time is linear. Our conception of it. This is our conception of time is linear, right? It's like beginning and end, or backwards, whatever. So our conception is linear. So we're caught in here. We're caught in between the destination, or the destination, and we want to get to the destination. And within this whole span of time, we're thinking about the destination and not actually present. You know? So it's this is where you easily can get off track. Like, because you're not conscious, you're conscious of this, but if you're, I'm not gonna get too ahead of myself here, but so time is linear. So when they talk about balancing karma, or have you ever got to heard that? Where it's like bad karma, for instance, in pop culture, like, oh, that's bad karma. Like, you're gonna. Exactly. So that's the mechanism of like reality and the mechanics of physics, really, because physics is just a manifestation of metaphysics. So everything that is physical is actually metaphysical too. It can be equated, it can be transgressed, it can be transcribed into metaphysics. So when I say that you're balancing karma, or like you're getting what you deserve, right, or whatever it is, you're getting you're reaping what you sow. That's a very popular term, right? It's a Bible term, isn't it?
Wait, what did you say?
Reap what you sow. I think that's what Jesus said or something. I didn't read the Bible. But that's a good book. I hear. So when we're thinking about balancing karma, like, there's no way you can balance a line, guys. It's gonna keep shifting, right? There's no equilibrium on a line. Like, because this is a thought. This is a thought form. This is like, oh, Emily, you're late.
I'm always late. Sorry.
Oh, you locked the door.
I just found this feather outside.
Oh, that's a beautiful feather.
Like, perfect.
Okay, well, have a seat.
What's your shoe? Who's sitting right in front?
No one, but you can move it.
Do you not want to sit right in front?
I want to sit right in front because I'm like already like late and then.
He's gonna steal the show. Why did you Why did you bring him? I'm just kidding. I'm just ostracizing you for being late to class.
I know.
Okay, so you can't balance a line. You can't balance a thought, really. I mean, you could, but it's really, I'll talk about it later. Anyway, when you're thinking about linear things, things are parallel to a linear line. Like, it's not connected, right? Lines they can connect, and I'll explain this later, but when you're thinking, what?
They can intersect.
Exactly, they can intersect. And this is when, like, you start to change directions. You know, like Newton talks about physics and like an object in motion will stay in motion unless an outside force intercepts it, right? And this is what happens when you meet somebody. This is happening when you think about somebody. This is happening when you have an emotional reaction. It's literally an outside force. Like obstructing or kind of interfering with the trajectory that you're currently on. So if you don't care about the trajectory you're on, it's not a big deal. But if you want to stay on the trajectory, then you have to be a little bit discerning, in my opinion. So balancing karma, like we try and balance this line, okay? And we think of a solution to the problem, and it takes us somewhere else, but ultimately this solution, this timeline that you're taking as well, is also going to need to be balanced. And it keeps going, like a clock. And it keeps balancing itself, until you've run the whole gamut and you've made this complete cycle, so to speak, and you come back to the same problem that you began with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And point to me where there's a problem in this room, guys. It's like Ella?
Yeah.
That's a perceived
She's the
problem.
problem.
No, that's a perceived problem. See, but it's your own perception. Like, there's no proof that she is. There's no disproof that she is either.
Yeah, it is, because there's like certain like things that are like, you know,
It's a problem for
common
you.
courtesy.
Okay, it's a problem for you,
You know?
because you're in your own parallel timeline, because no one is in their own timeline. Everybody's in their own parallel timeline. No one's touching. It looks like it. It's like when I touch you, when I touch your body, right?
Mhm.
It's like they've proved that even though your cells are like they can't intersect, you know? So this is exactly the same thing with timelines and parallel realities. So at all times we're always in our own, and there's no possibility of ever intersecting, as far as I know. You can imagine that you have no, because like when you intersect, you think that, oh, what I choose and decide is now based on what they do now too. So a power, there's kind of a choice that is extracted and like completely taken away out of it. So this is really ultimately self-defeating in the long run. It could be opportunity, but anyway, I'm getting too abstract here. I wish I had a towel with water. Anybody got a towel with water for me?
Oh, to wipe it?
Yeah, that'd be great. So ultimately, guys, let's not think of time as, because time is karma, right? I've explained that. Karma is time, and thoughts are time, thoughts are karma. So let's not think about time in terms of linear parallel realities. Let's think about it in one complete whole circle. And within this circle, thank you very much. Perfect. So let's think about it in circles. Also, before I get into this, it's complete. Like, the moment is complete in its own. I know that's hard to accept, right? If I say that, because there's something within you that's not quite sitting well. It's like there's something within you that's still distorted. There's something biased. There's something unclear within you, always. So it's hard for me to say, you know, everything is perfect as it is in this moment, and there's no way out of this moment, you know. But you'll try to, with like talking things, you'll try to get out of it. Like as I speak to you right now, you're probably thinking about like what's for dinner, right? You're actually exiting the present moment and not accepting it in a way. And it's not good, bad, right, or wrong. It's just the way that we are kind of claiming our own individuality that is separate from this moment. That makes sense. So before I get into all that, I want to give you guys a little bit of tools. You got some tools here.
Oh, there's Rose.
Hey!
Rose.
Hi, welcome.
Hi.
You guys have a seat. There's some pillows there. There's blankets there.
Rose, this is Jamie.
Rose, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
Sorry we're late.
Oh, no, it's okay.
I know I told you a lot about her.
You did?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we went
yeah.
to Taos.
Yeah. Oh, well, welcome. Okay, so as I've said, we are living in parallel realities that are intersecting. They only kind of, we view it as intersecting, but they're not. Like, I'll explain this. All right. So we have a thought right here. I've explained how thoughts are linear. Time is linear. Point A to point B, you know. We travel from, oh, someone hit that. Now the camcorder. Anyway. So we talk about time going from A to B, you know, we move through reality and we move through physical reality as like going from place to place, right? And when we move through this reality through that, we lose the opportunity that's going on in between the lines. You like, when I know I've explained this before, but like I make a movement, right? That's how we think about time. We think about it's moving like that. But when I make a movement like this, there's parallel realities that are happening all within my movement that are not being considered because your focus and your awareness is only made on the object, which is like this destination, and you're missing all these opportunities and also parallel realities within this transgression or this like movement, so to speak. So you're missing out on ultimately other things that are possible, but that's not a bad thing necessarily, or a good thing. So to begin with, let's say we have a thought, right? This is the thought. It's linear all time. All thoughts are linear. All thinking is made in a direction, right? There's a direction to your thinking. There's a proponent. There is a beginning and end to a thought. There's kind of like, right? So let's say this is the thought. And within this thought, there's 5 other choices that you're able to make. So when you make a choice and you act on it in physical reality, then let's say you make, so this is the highest vibration right here. This is like the most blissful state you could make. Let's just say that you have 5 options in each moment that you're thinking, right? You have 5 other thoughts you could be thinking, 5 other opportunities that are in your awareness, but you only act on one, right? So you act on one. Like before this, there was 5 also. 5 is just a helpful number that you can count. But so within this, there's first 5, and now it's going to another 5 because you made the choice. So this is the highest vibration. This is the highest possible one that could make you of the most acceptance of each present moment and each reality. Because each moment, each time, each second is its own self a moment of reality that is not like the last one. We think it is the last one, or it's similar because it looks the same, but it's completely separate because I mean we don't believe that it's a different reality because it looks the same. So we act the same because it looks the same. And this is the folly in our basing our choices on external stuff and not our imagination. So hopefully I can relax and like explain this a little bit. So we make a choice here, and this is the best choice, right? So this choice is like going to, for instance, what's a really good choice? Maybe going to have breakfast with a friend, right? This is breakfast. I'll just put a B on there. And the second best choice for you in that moment is to walk your dog. I'll put W for walk your dog. The next one is like eat at your house. I'll put eat for eat. So each one I'm thinking about, each potential that you can make is exponentially either where, depending on where you're coming from, is either better or like better for you in terms of like improving the state of being that you're at, the quality of your emotional state and your mental state, your physical too. But your physical is the body is a creature of the mind. It's a manifestation of the mind. It is the consequence of the mind. So anyway, we're making choices here, and so you can also go to work, you know, and that's like you hate your job, right? Let's put J for job. You could also go to work. That's like a low vibration. That'll put you in a really bad state, right? Because like you hate it, you don't like it. So, and then what's worse than that? You could
Clean your house.
clean your house. Perfect. You can clean your house. That'll put you in a bad mood. So depending on which one you choose, there's going to be a whole nother set of options here. So each has its own span of opportunities within each event, and they branch out more and more. Do you see that? Does that make sense? But the one you choose, let's say you go to work, so that's your baseline for the next choice. That's your baseline. So again, there's going to be 2 other better options, but see, the previous one you had 3 other options. So you're kind of setting yourself up for like less of an opportunity to feel blissful, which is go to breakfast. Because when you go to the job, there's not an opportunity for you to like go to breakfast because you have to go to work, right? But you could maybe go for a walk before the job, right? Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
What's the question?
Well, yeah, can't you just like, like your favorite thing to do is like dance? Like you could just like find somewhere to dance at your job and then.
You can do that. Yeah. But see, and there's also a compromise to that where it's like, it would help you in the moment, but also you're constantly going back to the previous moment, which you're repeating the same reality that's happened, like all the other days you've been to work. You also are repeating that same day again, and it's making you feel like stagnant. It's making you feel less free, right? Because you want to be free and blissful. You want to be able to choose what you want to do. And when we repeat realities over and over again, we have less options to do that. Does that make sense? Okay. So, any questions on that? Are we keeping time?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have 28 minutes.
Okay, so I'll explain a little bit here about like your state of being and how you can't go off your thoughts. You can't go off logic. You have to actually go off of the state of being that you're because like your thoughts are a barometer of your emotions, your state of being, the attitude you present and carry with you is a barometer. It's a reflection of how correct your thinking is. Okay? How correct your thinking is exactly a depiction, or it's a translation of your higher self, which has a much more expanded view.
I'm so sorry.
You're just such an interruption today.
So sorry.
I'm just kidding.
God.
But okay, so your emotional state is. Does everybody understand that? Your thoughts, your thinking is a barometer of how, the quality of your state of being, your emotions are a direct reflection of how in alignment your thoughts are, how correct they are with the overall universal perspective that your higher self. Does everybody understand what that higher self means, right? Everybody has that vocabulary here. I don't have to explain what that is, right? Okay. No one raising their hands. So when we think negative, or I shouldn't say that. When we think disempowering thoughts, we're out of alignment with our higher self's thoughts, which we're always connected. Time as a physical object moving through space, like a body, if you only identify as that, then you can't move, you cannot take what your higher self is communicating to you through emotions, and you can't use that as a guidance system, kind of. because thoughts ultimately are coming from a place of your intellect, and your intellect is something that is programmed, and it's something that's repeated, and it's based on a past experience. Yes.
Does that always have to be a thought that creates that, or can it be like almost like a triggered feeling? Because I feel like sometimes I don't have thoughts about things, but I still get into like a lower vibrational state around certain situations. So it's like maybe it's like at first it was a thought, and the thought went away because you're like, okay, I want to be like connected, but then that trauma is still there. So it's like the trauma. Does that make sense?
Can you like be more specific about your question?
So you're saying that the thought affects your emotions, right?
Yeah.
That's like
Exactly.
basically what you're saying. And
It's more of a